Tonight, allow yourself to drift into a gentle world. A world where time moves slowly, where the air is soft, and where the ancient gods still walk quietly beneath a peaceful sky. This is the Silent Garden of Demeter, a calm tale from Greek mythology, told slowly, softly, to help you fall deeply, comfortably asleep. Take a breath in and exhale. Let go of the day and let the story carry you. The beginning 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Far beyond the busy lands of mortals, past wide-rolling fields and gentle hills, there lies a hidden place, a garden that belongs to Demeter, the goddess of harvest, growth, and quiet abundance. The garden rests in a valley surrounded by soft green ridges that curve like the arms of the earth itself. The air is warm, never too hot, never too cool, and always still. It is a place untouched by rush, untouched by urgency, a sanctuary where even the breeze seems to move slowly, brushing lightly over the grass as if not to disturb its peace. Demeter tends this garden not for glory, nor for worship, but for serenity. It is where she comes when the world feels heavy, and where she goes when she wishes to listen. To the earth's quieter voice. Demeter's arrival, 4 o'clock, 6:30. As evening settles, the goddess appears at the garden's entrance. Demeter moves gracefully, with steps so light that they barely touch the ground. Her long earth-colored robe glows faintly in the dusk, the threads woven from the first rays of morning sunlight. She takes a slow breath and smiles gently, as if greeting an old friend. The garden welcomes her. Not with words, but with warmth and the scent of blooming flowers and the soft sound of leaves shifting. She places her hand on the wooden gate, smooth from centuries of her touch, and opens it. The gate does not creak, does not groan. It opens quietly, as if it, too, understands the sacred stillness of this place. Inside the garden, 6:30 to 10 o'clock inside. The paths glow faintly under the soft light of dusk. The stones beneath her feet are warm from the day's sun. Little petals fall gently as she walks, drifting as slow as feathers. Every corner of the garden is alive, yet peaceful. Tall stalks of golden wheat sway in rhythm, though no wind moves them. Vines climb lazily up wooden arches, heavy with grapes whose skins shimmer like tiny moons. The flowers here bloom lavender, lilies, and soft white blossoms that fold open only at dusk. As Demeter wanders deeper, she runs her fingertips across each plant. Where her touch falls, the leaves brighten, the flowers straighten. The earth hums quietly beneath her. For Demeter, tending the garden is not work. It is meditation. It is the calm her immortal heart needs. A gentle stream flows nearby, moving so slowly that its ripples look like lines of silver glass. She pauses by it, studying her reflection. Not with vanity, but with gratitude for a peaceful moment. The soft sounds of evening 10 o'clock to 13 o'clock, as the sky above her deepens into shades of soft violet. The garden grows even quieter. The first stars emerge, shimmering lightly behind thin clouds. Demeter closes her eyes, and for a moment, she listens. There is no noise of cities, no footsteps, no voices, only the whisper of leaves, the slow turning of the earth, the steady, calming heartbeat of nature. A small bird perches on a branch above her, its feathers the color of amber wheat. It does not sing loudly. Instead, it lets out a single, soft chirp, as if saying goodnight. Demeter smiles again. She gently lifts a fallen leaf, and instead of drying, the leaf glows softly, its veins bright and warm. She releases it, and it floats slowly, gracefully, almost magically back to its branch. Time moves differently here. Every moment stretches like warm honey, slowing thoughts, slowing breaths, slowing everything. The heart of the garden, 13 o'clock to 16 o'clock. Demeter eventually reaches the center of the garden, her favorite place. A large tree stands there, ancient beyond measure. Its trunk is wide and smooth, its branches spreading like open arms. The leaves glow faintly gold, shimmering even in the dim light. This tree is special. It represents balance, growth, patience. It has stood through storms, through seasons, through centuries, and yet it is always calm. Demeter sits on a soft bed of moss beneath its branches. The moss adjusts gently under her, warm and comforting. She breathes in slowly, and the scent of sweet earth fills the air. She breathes out, and a soft wave of warmth seems to ripple through the garden. It is here that she lets her thoughts quiet. Her worries fall away like petals. Her mind drifts the way clouds drift slowly, effortlessly, gently, faintly. The tree above her rustles quietly, though no wind touches it. It is almost as if it is humming a lullaby, one only Demeter can hear, and one she gladly shares with anyone resting nearby. The world falls asleep, 16 o'clock to 19 o'clock, as night settles fully over the garden. Everything grows still. The flowers close with a soft sigh. The vines curl inward, protecting their fruit. The wheat lowers its golden heads, as if bowing to the moon. A cool, delicate mist forms at the edges of the garden, not cold, just soft like a blanket laid across the earth. Demeter rests beneath the ancient tree. Eyes huff up. She watches the stars drift slowly across the sky. Each one flickers gently, like distant lanterns guiding dreams. Nothing hurried exists here. Nothing urgent. Nothing loud. Just calm, just softness. Just the earth breathing in harmony with you. Demeter closes her eyes completely. Her voice warm, quiet, and steady echoes through the garden. Though she does not speak aloud, grow gently. Rest easily and sleep deeply. The words settle into the soil, the leaves, the air, and you can feel them too, guiding you into stillness. Closing 19 o'clock to 20 o'clock. As the story draws to a close, imagine yourself in that garden, beneath that tree, wrapped in the warm scent of earth and night air. Feel the softness under you, air de slow, calming rhythm of nature. Allow yourself to drift. Gently, quietly. Inko, sleep. Demeter's garden remains silent, peaceful, waiting for you whenever you wish to return. Good night, and may your dreams be as gentle as the silent garden of Demeter. A story that you might know very well, but here, it's told in a way that is quiet, relaxed, and peacefully slow. So, settle in, take a deep breath, and let your mind drift as we explore the quiet journey of Perseus. Opening calm minute 022 long ago, in a world of marble temples, warm ocean breezes, and slow-moving clouds over the Aegean Sea. There lived a young man named Perseus. You may have heard stories of him before, filled with adventure and danger and heroic quests. But tonight, none of that matters. Tonight, we will walk beside Perseus. In the quiet moments, the uneventful times, the parts nobody tells, the parts where nothing dramatic happens, and everything feels restful. Restful. Perseus was just waking up. On a peaceful morning, on a quiet island, where waves whispered softly onto sand, and the sunlight rose slowly, as if it, too, was still sleepy. A slow morning. Minutos 5. Perseus stretched, not like a warrior preparing for battle, but like someone who had slept well and wasn't in a rush for anything. He stepped outside his small home, made of smooth stone, and looked around. There were olive trees, standing very still. The leaves didn't rustle much. A gentle breeze rolled through, not to move them, but almost as if to say, "Hello." He walked down a simple dirt path, with no particular destination, the kind of slow walk you take just because the day is long. and there is nowhere you must be. The island was quiet. A few fishermen were preparing their nets, slowly, patiently, knowing there was plenty of time before the tide changed. Perseus waved to them. They waved back without any urgency. Everything felt unhurried, preparing for a mild journey, minute 5 to 8 now. In the famous versions of the story, Perseus goes on a dangerous mission to find the Gorgon Medusa. But here, we follow him in a forgotten moment, a time just before that adventure would ever begin. On this calm morning, Perseus sat near the shore. Looking at the water, the sea was almost still. Small ripples touched the rocks, like tiny breaths. His mother, Danae, called to him gently. She asked if he could go into the village to buy a little grain and same figs for the afternoon meal. Nothing heroic, just a simple errand. Perseus didn't mind. He nodded, stood up, brushed a bit of sand off his tunic, and began walking. The long, uneventful walk. Minute 8 to 12. The village wasn't far, but Perseus walked slowly, not even thinking much. Sometimes the best walks are the ones where the mind gently drifts. As he walked, he passed by a shepherd, an older man leaning on a crooked wooden staff. The shepherd wasn't particularly interesting. He had a few sheep, the kind that weren't in a rush either. They chewed grass in a very repetitive, very calming way. Perseus said hello. The shepherd nodded and continued standing. Exactly where he was, not doing anything notable. It was peaceful, in a way that almost felt like time had decided to slow down, just for this moment. A few birds flew overhead, lazily, as if they were saving their important flying for another day. Perseus eventually made it to the village, a place with small stone houses and narrow paths, and the quiet murmur of people having ordinary conversations. The village market. Minute 12 to 15 he went to the market, which wasn't busy. A few vendors sat beside their baskets, selling figs, grapes, and small lumps of cheese that looked soft and pale. Perseus picked a handful of figs, inspected them without any hurry, and handed a few coins to the vendor. The vendor smiled politely, not too excited, not too bored, just pleasantly neutral. He bought some grain next, putting it in a small cloth bag. The grain made a soft, rustling sound that almost blended with the warm air. There wasn't much more to do in the village, so Perseus turned around and began the slow walk back. To return home. Minute 15 to 18. The sun was higher now, but still gentle. The breeze wasn't strong enough to rearrange his hair, just enough to remind him it was there. He passed the shepherd again. The shepherd was still leaning on his staff. The sheep had moved slightly, but not by much. Everything looked almost exactly the same as before, which made the world feel steady, predictable, and soothing. Perseus enjoyed that sameness. There was comfort in a day where nothing extraordinary happened. When he reached home, he placed the figs and grain on the small wooden table. His mother smiled, thanked him, and continued preparing the meal. In a slow, rhythmic, relaxive way. A quiet afternoon, minute 18 to 20. Perseus sat outside again, watching the sky shift into soft afternoon colors. There would be great adventures in his life. Yes, but not now. Not today. Today was made for rest, for quiet, for the gentle kind of living that helps the mind calm down. As Perseus watched the sea, he felt completely at peace. No battles, no quests, just the comfort of a slow day on a quiet island, wrapped in warm sunlight. And as the waves whispered and the world stayed still, Perseus closed his eyes and let himself drift into a soft, deep, restful calm. Tonight, we journey into another gentle corner of Greek mythology. Not the fast, mischievous Hermes, you know, but a slower, quieter Hermes, wandering peacefully across the world, with no missions, no urgency, just calm steps and quiet thoughts. So settle in, relax your shoulders, and let your mind drift. As we begin the slow wanderings of Hermes Minute 03, a calm morning on Mount Selene. High on Mount Selene, where the air is cool and the clouds move very slowly, Artemis woke up feeling unusually relaxed. The god of travelers, thieves, and messages had no messages to deliver today. No tasks from the other gods. No hurry. He stretched slowly, the way someone stretches when they have nowhere to be. The cave where he was born was quiet. A few small beams of sunlight drifted through the opening, touching the stone floor with a soft golden glow. Nothing moved quickly here. Not even Hermes. Minute 36. A slow walk begins. Hermes stepped outside, wearing simple sandals, not the winged ones he used on important days, but an ordinary pair that encouraged walking, not flying. He looked over the landscape, and the hills seemed to stretch forever in soft, rolling waves. He wasn't heading anywhere specific, only wandering. The grass brushed gently against his ankles, and small insects hummed quietly, but even their buzzing felt unhurried. Hermes breathed in the cool mountain air and let it fill his chest slowly. Minute 6 to 10, a visit to a very ordinary farm. After some time, Hermes arrived at a simple farm. It wasn't magical, or sacred, or important in any myth. Just a quiet farm, with a few goats nibbling lazily on patches of grass. A farmer was repairing a wooden fence. Not quickly, not slowly, just at the rhythm of someone who had done this many times. Hermes greeted him softly. The farmer nodded, looked up briefly, and went back to his work. The goats continued chewing, without any interest in a god standing nearby. Hermes liked that. It felt grounding. He sat on a smooth rock, watching a goat blink slowly, and breathe in a calm pattern. In and out. Minute 10 to 14, following a quiet river eventually. Hermes stood up and walked again, finding a narrow river moving at a peaceful pace. The water wasn't rushing. It wasn't loud. It simply flowed, the way water does, when it doesn't need to be anywhere else. Hermes followed the riverbank, listening to the gentle bubbling, almost like soft whispers between old friends. He dipped his hand in the water. It was cool, but not cold. Above him, leaves drifted lazily from a tree, falling slowly, as if they were too sleepy to hurry. Minute 14 to 17. A meadow without any surprises. Hermes arrived at a wide meadow, full of tall grass, moving like a slow ocean in the breeze. Nothing special happened here. No nymphs appeared. No magical creatures wandered out. Just grass, and quiet air, and the soft sound of Hermes' sandals brushing the earth. He lay down, hands behind his head, and stared at the sky. changing shape so slowly. They seemed almost frozen. Hermes didn't think about messages. He didn't think about tasks. He just breathed. Minutes 17 to 20, ending in stillness as the day softened into evening. Hermes made his way back toward Mount Selene. The sky turned a gentle orange, then a dim gold, and finally, a soft blue-gray. Hermes reached his cave again and sat at the entrance, watching the world grow quiet. For a god known for speed and movement and constant tasks, today had been something rare. A slow day, a peaceful day, a day where nothing happened and everything felt calm. Hermes sighed gently, closed his eyes, and let the stillness wrap around him, until even a restless god could fall into deep, quiet rest. Tonight, we drift into a quiet moment in the life of Aphrodite. Not the dramatic goddess of beauty and love, but a gentler, softer Aphrodite, enjoying a peaceful evening by the sea. As you settle down, allow your breath to slow. Let your shoulders relax, and let this calm myth carry you into rest. Minute 03. A soft sunset over the sea, and the sky above Cyprus glowed with soft shades of peach, lavender, and pale gold. Aphrodite stood on the shoreline, her feet barely touching the cool water, as the waves rolled in and then drifted out. In a steady rhythm, there were no lovers calling her name, no gods asking for her guidance, just the quiet hush of the evening breeze. She breathed in, the salty air filling her chest, and she felt the gentle peace of a day winding down. Minute 36. A walk along a quiet beach. Aphrodite began walking, her pace unhurried, her long gown trailing lightly in the sand. Tiny shells scattered across the beach, glimmering softly as the last sunlight touched them. The seabirds were settling down, their calls becoming fewer and quieter as the night approached. Aphrodite bent down, picked up a small, smooth shell, and turned it slowly in her hand. Nothing magical happened. It was just a shell. Simple, calm, grounding. She slipped it into a small pouch at her side, the fabric rustling softly. Minutes 6 to 10. A still garden by the shores of Cyprus, she walked inland, toward a small garden filled with roses, the ones she loved most. But tonight, they were still, not blooming wildly, not glowing with divine energy, just resting. Aphrodite brushed her fingers along a rose petal, its surface cool and smooth. She inhaled the gentle fragrance, not strong, just enough to soften the moment. A small fountain stood in the center of the garden, water bubbling quietly, with a sound that resembled soft breathing. She sat beside it, listening, letting the slow rhythm calm her thoughts. Minute 10 to 14, the temple steps and a soft breeze near the garden stood a small temple. Not grand, not crowded, just a peaceful place where offerings were left. Aphrodite walked toward it, her footsteps making the faintest echoes on the stone steps. A few flowers were left at the entrance, simple gifts from travelers earlier in the day. She touched one gently, a small, white blossom, its petals barely open. The breeze moved through the temple corridor. Cool. Gentle, carrying with it the soft scent of evening air. Aphrodite sat on the steps, relaxing, her mind quiet. Minute 14 to 17, stars rising over a calm sea. As the sun slipped completely below the horizon, the first stars began to appear. Slowly, one, then another, then a small handful more. Aphrodite rose from the steps and walked back toward the shoreline. The sea was darker now, almost still, with only tiny waves brushing the sand. the stars reflected in the water, stretching out like a gentle pathway of shimmering light. Aphrodite found a smooth rock, sat down, and watched the sky unfold. Each star seemed to take its time, appearing with no rush, no urgency, just quietly taking its place. Minute 17 to 20. A soft ending in the quiet night settles softly, like a blanket spreading over the island. Aphrodite sat quietly, listening to the calm rhythm of the sea. Nothing called her away. No task waited for her. This moment belonged entirely to peace. She placed her hand over her heart, feeling the steady, slow beat, matching the waves, matching the night around her. The air grew cooler, the stars brighter, and Aphrodite closed her eyes, embracing the gentleness of the evening, a calm night, a quiet heart, and a peaceful world. And as the waves whispered softly, the goddess drifted into stillness, inviting you to drift with her into deep, restful sleep. Tonight, we rise into a gentle moment in the life of Helios, not the blazing charioteer racing across the sky, but a quieter, calmer Helios, awakening softly at the edge of dawn, before the world truly wakes. This is a story of still morning air, slow sunlight, and a god who for once moves without hurry. Settle in, relax, and let your thoughts drift into the soft dawn of Helios. Minute 0 to 3. A calm awakening above the sea before the first hint of sunrise. Helios opened his eyes in his quiet, sky-colored chamber. No flames roared. No thunder shook the horizon. Just stillness. A soft glow surrounded him. The faintest, earliest light of morning. Like a shy spark waiting to grow or rose slowly, stretching his arms with the quiet ease of someone who has no rush, feeling the calm warmth inside his chest. Outside his chamber, the sky was a deep blue-gray, the kind of color that exists only moments before dawn. Minuth 36. Preparing for a slow morning, Helios stepped into the open air, onto a balcony made of smooth golden stone. Below him, the great ocean shimmered faintly in the darkness, waves rolling in a soft, rhythmic hush. Usually, he would summon his fiery horses and begin the great race across the sky. But today, the world felt peaceful, and Helios decided to savor the quiet. He breathed deeply, letting the cool air fill his lungs, and exhaled slowly, watching the horizon wait patiently for the sun. Minute 6 to 10. The stables of light, Helios walked to the celestial stables, where his powerful horses Ethon, Pyroa, Phlegon, and Is rested. But tonight, they were calm, their flames dimmed to soft embers. Their breaths slow and steady, Helios stroked each one gently, feeling the warmness beneath their glowing manes. No rushing, no preparations, just quiet moments shared in the stillness before dawn. The horses seemed to enjoy it too, their fiery eyes blinking slowly, as if they, too, appreciated a peaceful start. Minute 10 to 14, a walk along the edge of the sky. He walked along the sky's edge, a path made of light so soft it glowed like pale gold dust. Beneath him, the ocean stretched endlessly, steady, calm, reflecting the faintest hint of color. Birds began to stir across distant islands, their calls gentle, unhurried, like soft notes placed carefully into the world. Helios paused, resting his hand on the railing of clouds, feeling the sky cool beneath his fingertips. Everything was slow. Everything was calm. Minute 14 to 17. The first touch of sunrise, Helios stepped to the horizon, where the sun waited, not blazing, but glowing faintly, like a warm ember waking from sleep. He placed his palm on the surface of the sun and felt it pulse gently, as if responding to his touch. A soft orange light began to spread, not suddenly, but with the slow confidence of a new day. Helios didn't push it. He simply guided it, letting the sunrise unfold naturally, like a flower opening at its own pace. Below, the world shifted gently into morning. Minutes 17 to 20, a peaceful start to the day as the sun rose higher. Its warmth spread across the sea, turning the waves into soft ribbons of gold. Helios stood quietly, watching the day begin, feeling no rush, no pressure, only the calm satisfaction of a peaceful dawn. He closed his eyes, letting the gentle light wash over him, and breathed slowly, deeply. With the rhythm of the morning, the world below brightened, the sky above soft, and Helios, the great sun god, allowed himself this rare moment of stillness, a slow sunrise, a calm heart, and the soft beginning of a brand new day. Tonight, we wander into the peaceful forests of ancient Greece to spend a gentle evening beside Artemis, the goddess of the moon. The wilderness and the quiet places where the world breathes softly. No hunts, no challenges. Just stillness, calm, and slow steps through a quiet forest. Let your breath soften, your mind relax, and drift peacefully into the quiet forest of Artemis. Minute 0 to 3, entering the twilight forest, the sun had just begun to sink, casting long golden rays across the treetops. The forest of Artemis was calm tonight, with tall pines rising like silent guardians, and soft moss covering the earth like a thick green blanket. Artemis stepped onto a narrow path, her footsteps barely making a sound. She carried no bow and no arrows, only a quiet presence. Wrapped in evening light, a cool breeze drifted through the trees, mowing gently as if welcoming her home. Minute 36. A slow walk among trees. Artemis walked slowly, fingertips brushing against smooth tree bark, feeling the cool texture beneath her hand. The forest whispered softly, not with words, but with the faint rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl, and the low hum of insects settling for the night. Nothing rushed here, nothing pushed for attention. Everything moved in one quiet rhythm. Artemis paused to watch a beam of sunlight fade as dusk deepened around her, turning gold into soft blue. Minutes 6 to 10. A calm stream in the forest. She reached a small stream, so clear that she could see smooth stones beneath the surface. The water flowed at a slow, steady pace, making a gentle sound like whispering glass. Artemis knelt by the edge, dipping her fingers into the cool water. Ripples spread outward. Smooth, even, calming. A small deer approached the stream, its steps light and careful. It lowered its head to drink, unafraid. Because in this forest, everything trusted the silence. Artemis watched it quietly, appreciating the simple beauty of stillness. Minute 10 to 14. Fireflies in the meadow beyond the stream was a meadow, wide and open, covered in tall grass that swayed gently in the evening breeze. As Artemis stepped into the clearing, tiny lights began to appear. One, then another, then dozens more. Fireflies. They glowed softly, floating lazily above the grass, like drifting pieces of moonlight. Artemis moved among them, her presence calm and quiet, as if she belonged to the night itself. She sat down, feeling the cool earth beneath her, and watched the fireflies pulse gently in the darkening air. Minute 14 to 17. The moon rises slowly, the forest dimmed, and the first curve of the moon appeared above the treetops. Slow, steady, gentle. Artemis watched it rise, its pale silver light spreading through the branches, softening shadows, and brightening the leaves with a quiet glow. She breathed deeply, letting the cool night fill her lungs, feeling the peace settle inside her. A soft owl call echoed through the trees, low and distant. A comforting sound. Nothing disturbed the moment. Nothing hurried the night. Minute 17 to 20, night settles. Over the forest, Artemis walked back toward a small clearing, where the moonlight pooled softly on the forest floor. She sat upon a smooth stone, lifting her eyes to the sky, now dotted with soft, sleepy stars. The forest around her stilled completely. The breeze slowed, the leaves calmed. The entire world seemed to breathe in harmony. Artemis let her thoughts drift. No responsibilities, no duties, just the gentle feeling of existing in a quiet night. The moon lit her face softly. The forest embraced her with silence, and the world grew calm, inviting you to rest with her. As the night deepened and the stars shimmered faintly overhead, Artemis closed her eyes and allowed the quiet forest to carry her into peaceful, restful sleep. Tonight, we drift to a place where the sea breathes gently and time moves, like waves rolling across a quiet shoreline, a place untouched by storms, untouched by thunder, untouched even by the urgency of the world. This is the peaceful realm of Poseidon, not the god of raging oceans, but the keeper of calm tides, the guardian of restful waters. And tonight, we walk with him, one. The quiet coastline. Imagine a long stretch of coastline, bathed in soft blue dusk. The last light of the evening lies warm on the sand, painting it gold, then silver. As the sun gently steps away, the waves are not crashing here. They're simply swaying forward and back, like a deep, slow breath. You follow the shoreline, feeling the cool grains beneath your feet. There is no hurry, no destination. Just a quiet walk, guided by the rhythm of the sea. Far out on the horizon, the water glows a pale, peaceful blue. It looks endless, but comforting, almost like a soft blanket spread across the world. And somewhere beneath that glowing water, Poseidon stirs, not in anger, not in power, but in calm curiosity. 2. A gentle presence beneath the sea, deep beneath the surface, where the water folds into silence. Poseidon listens. He hears the hum of the ocean floor, the whisper of drifting currents, the small songs of distant dolphins as they settle for the night. He knows every ripple, every shift, every soft sound in his kingdom. But tonight, Poseidon rises, not as a mighty god, not with storms, or tridents, or thunderous waves. Tonight, he rises as a quiet wanderer, a keeper of peace, a gentle guide. Slowly, he moves upward through layers of water teal, then blue, then a near-transparent silver as he approaches the surface. The sea welcomes him. It parts softly around him, as though greeting an old friend. When Poseidon steps onto the shore, his footsteps leave no mark. The sand simply brightens where he walks, as if recognizing him, holding light for him. And then he looks toward you, not as a god towering above, but as a calm, ancient traveler sharing a quiet evening stroll. 3. Walking with Poseidon, Poseidon's voice. When he speaks as soft as tide foam, walk with me, he says. Not a command, an invitation. You join him at the water's edge, side by side. His presence is steady, like the heart of the ocean itself. Not heavy, not intimidating, but grounding. He tells you that the sea has many moods. Sadness, restlessness, and serenity. But tonight, the sea has chosen rest. He gestures toward the water, and you notice how the waves move as though half asleep, curling softly, then drifting outward again, with no urgency. This, he says quietly, is the sea. When it dreams, 4. The whispering tide as you walk, the ocean begins to whisper. Not in words, but in a language older than stories. A low, soothing hush. Like the earth breathing, Poseidon smiles. The sea remembers, he says. It remembers everything, every journey, every tide, every dream carried across its waters. A bends down, letting his hand skim the surface. The water brightens around his fingers, glowing softly. Tonight, it remembers peace, he says. You feel the truth in it. The calmness of the sea moves through you like a slow, quiet wave, lifting weight from your shoulders, loosening your breath, softening your thoughts. The whispering tide feels like an old lullaby, meant for wanderers, meant for nights like this, meant for rest. 5. The coral garden Poseidon guides you along the shore until the water becomes impossibly clear. So clear you can see the ocean floor as though looking through glass. Below the surface lies a sprawling garden of coral, soft shapes in gentle colors. Lavender, pale blue, sea green. Everything glows faintly, as if lit from within. This is the quiet heart of the sea. Poseidon tells you, a place where all life rests before dawn. Schools of tiny fish drift slowly through the corals, moving like drifting feathers. Nothing is rushed, nothing is sharp. Every movement is soft, a dance of calmness. You kneel beside the water and watch them, feeling your breath fall into rhythm with their slow drifting. Poseidon watches, two hands folded, eyes peaceful. It feels like time has paused, not stopped, just softened. 6. A seat by the sleeping sea, Poseidon gestures toward a smooth rock near the shore. It is warm from the dying sunlight, shaped by years of gentle tides. Sit, he says. You do. The rock supports you perfectly, as if it were shaped for this exact moment. Poseidon sits beside you, the ocean stretching endlessly before you both. Waves roll in, slow, steady, calm. He speaks again, in that same low, soothing voice. The sea is wide, he says, but its quiet moments are just as powerful as its storms. Another wave rolls in, soft, as a sigh. You do not always need to push forward, he continues. Sometimes your spirit needs only to drift. You feel this like a warm breeze, a gentle truth settling inside you. Drift, rest, restore. 7. Night gathers over the water as the sky darkens. Stars begin to appear, one by one, like tiny reflections of the glowing ocean. The moon rises slowly, casting a pale path of silver across the waves. Poseidon looks up. The night understands. See, he says. They both know how to hold the world's quiet moments. He closes his eyes for a long breath, letting the wind move past him. You do the same. The air is cool, salted, soft. When you open your eyes again, the ocean looks even calmer, as though it has fallen into a deeper sleep. 8. The god of calm waters, Poseidon, stands slowly, his movements fluid, like water itself. It is time for me to return below, he says. But the calm you feel now, you can carry it with you. He places his hand gently over the surface of the water, sending a ripple that glows in a wide, soft circle. That calm, he says, is yours now. You watch the glowing ripple spread outward, wider and wider, until it fades into the dark. Poseidon steps back into the water. It rises around him, welcoming him home. Before he disappears beneath the surface, he looks back once more. When the world feels heavy, he says, return to the whispering shore. It will always be waiting. And then, he is gone. The ocean folds quietly over him like a blanket. 9. The final whisper of the sea. The night is silent now, except for the gentle hush of the waves. You sit on the warm rock, letting the calm settle deeper into your chest, your shoulders, your breath, your thoughts. Nothing rushes. Nothing demands. The world feels soft, as if wrapped in the sea's lullaby. The waves whisper again, slow, steady, endlessly soothing. And before long, your eyes begin to grow heavy. Your breathing grows slower. Your body drifts into rest as the whispering shores of Poseidon guide you gently. Peacefully. Into sleep.